Nooner Garage! Back out here making some progress on Mr. Green Jeans, and today we are going to be messing with the driver side long tube header and putting on an O2 bung for wideband O2 sensor so that we can monitor the vittles when the supercharger is trying to make more power. So we will set up and get that header pulled, and I guess that's it. As you can see, plainly, I am a professional welder. I can't weld for crap, but you know what? It stays on there most of the time, and it shouldn't come off. Slag everywhere, looks like boogers. Send it. The O2 sensor bung that I welded in the other day, that is for a wideband O2, and I've got the gauge out of the package. It's over here. So this is the good old LC1 wideband O2. This is the output gauge. This is the wiring for the gauge, and the wiring for the rest of it over there, the controller and whatnot, is on the desk. Been reading through the instructions on that, make sure I don't screw that up. So anyway, was looking for a fun place to install it in the truck, and I've got the gauge cluster panel, cover panel out of the way. Pulled the little metal shield out of the way as well. But I took the amp gauge out, and I think it's going to work really well in there, because that didn't work anyway, because that amp gauge was not hooked up. So what I did, let's see, where did I put it? Here's the little amp former gauge. I pulled all the stuff off of the back side of it. Got a little discoloration, but that don't matter because I'm going to be cutting that out anyway with this hole saw, and getting that mounted into the stock cluster behind the plastic and everything, so you won't even be able to tell it's there. It'll look kind of like a black block off plate, and then light up when you turn it on. So we will do stop motion until I have something interesting to show you. So I ended up trimming down the little bracket that comes with it. Couldn't quite get it to pull tight with the spacers that they bring in and the longer screws, so I shortened this up and brought the screws right into the back of it. Not sure if you can read the writing in there. It says Innovate. Anyway, got it kind of pointed in the correct direction, and it should go right in there like that. So we'll get it mounted up and hopefully get some wiring done today, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like when we're done. I came back to show you exactly how it is with the black cover plate back on. Looks like everything should hide in there real well. You can kind of see the writing and stuff on the gauge now that it's in there. But the cover is back in its place, so I need to take the protective plastic off of that before I forget. And then I can throw the clear plastic over the top of that. So come back when it's all back in place. Well, there it is, all back into place. Well, mostly. Just got the lower cover to put on down there and a little rubber trim, but you can get in there. It just kind of looks black. You can see where the letters are kind of in there, I guess. But anyway, got the power wires and signal wires and stuff run down below. Next step is to get that hooked up and get the controller in and calibrated, powered up, and then go through that process, and then I can hopefully get my exhaust done. It's sitting over there in pieces somewhere. Let's see. Oh, there's the new resonators that are going to go on. And adding those to the existing exhaust because it was just way too loud on the interstate. Lots of drone and stuff, so hopefully get rid of some of that. But we'll be back when we have more. Today we're working on rear end and exhaust. We got the exhaust going on down there. Got tacked out with resonators. And Donnie is under the truck. He's the lucky dog of the day. Gets to set pinion resistance. Got the depth set. Just rotating around, finding the resistance. Hi, Donnie.
Hello.
We'll go stop motion until we have something else to show. Working here on the LC2 wideband install. I called it LC1 earlier, but it's an LC2. Then Donnie had some questions on the gears that I was trying to have him put into my carrier, and ended up having the wrong gear set for the carrier that I had. I had Series 3 and Series 4 both, and I ended up trying to use the thick ones, and they did not work, so we had to use the thin ones. So ended up putting the thin ones in, everything spaced out correctly, and now it looks good. Mr. Green Jeans is fighting me every step of the way. Got Donnie over here helping me today. We ended up getting the gears all put back together and got everything set correctly. Once we figured out which pinion and ring gear to use, that I ended up buying oh man, I was having trouble buying the right set, looking at descriptions and whatnot on Summit Racing's website, and then I had a ring gear come that had a broken off bolt. Come to find out that wasn't even the one I was supposed to be using. So anyway, once we measured right, well, once Donnie was here and measured because he knows what he's doing, he knew which gear set we were supposed to be using, and it went just fine. So thank you, Donnie, for helping me out. So anyway, put in a 3-bar map sensor. Go to make the tune. Everything's going just fine. Mr. Green Jeans first start on 3-bar. I was coughing and sputtering a little bit, but it was figuring things out, doing a little bit of real-time tuning. I haven't done that on a 3-bar yet, so that was kind of fun. Well, then I start smelling fuel, and there's a gas leak. The feed line on the top of the fuel pump in there, wherever it is, it's in there somewhere. Top fuel feed line started leaking. So I guess it's best that it happened here, but man, it's just adding things that I don't need to be freaking doing before leaving for a Hot Rod Power Tour. So also got the I made a list over here. Got to fill the rear end with fluid. I got a crossover leak in the coolant. The back connector on the passenger side head is leaking a little bit of coolant. Got to figure out my air temperature sensor. I've got the air temperature sensor itself. I got to wire that up. Transmission cross member bolts just need to be tightened down. Everything is in there. Got to connect the U-joint. 3-bar tune actually was working on that. Any other leaks that pop up, I was not planning on a gas leak, which is the bottom item there. Wideband O2, the bung is installed and the gauge is installed. Just got to go through setup on that and get that working as well, so that I can do some wide open throttle tuning once everything else gets done. But come on, Mr. Green Jeans, you gotta help me out, man. Alright, that's enough for now. Later.